fresh read on the U.S. housing market just this morning. February's Case-Shiller Home Price Index, it's a measure of U.S. residential real estate prices, finding that more than half of major U.S. metropolitan markets posted year-over-year price declines in February. Minneapolis, Dallas, Boston among February's laggards. Denver is now the weakest market in the U.S. with a nearly 2.2% decline over the past year. Chicago's residential prices have grown to more than 5%. This report suggests that the housing slowdown has broadened beyond just its original Sunbelt origins, with mortgage rates still hanging around 6% and inflation outpacing national home price increases. What's next for the housing market? Joining me now to make sense of all of this, every time I'm here, I demand that they join us. It's Dolly Lenz, real estate CEO Dolly Lenz, and the firm's managing director, Jenny Lenz.
Hi.
So fun to have you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we just sort of laid out those national trend, national numbers. What are you seeing?
I mean, we're still seeing huge demand beyond what we ever expected in terms of open houses. Everybody's coming to an open house. Busy, busy, busy. We don't even know where we're going.
Yeah, we're so busy. There were 126 contracts signed above $10 million this year, and last year there were 96. So 30 more this year, even though we have headwinds like the war, high mortgage rates, still about 6%. They did come down a little bit.
Mamdani.
So I want to get to that in a minute.
Yes.
But the growth that you see, is it still the Sunbelt regions, or do we see sort of a broadening out?
It's definitely a broadening out.
Okay.
So definitely. But where we're talking about New York, for example, Los Angeles, in specific areas, you know, Beverly Hills, you know, the very nice areas where money doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, things are selling.
Right. People are taking money off the table, like you just talked about Coca-Cola being at, you know, an all-time high.
Exactly.
People are selling and they're buying real estate, real assets versus financial ones.
And they're drinking Coke.
Yeah, well, that too.
And fair life and healthy things as well.
Okay, so I hesitant to talk about New York the entire time. But
of course.
This is, I think, what is on people's mind, because New York is a microcosm of what could become the rest of the country. So people look in New York and they say this proposal for a pied-à-terre tax. So a second homeowner where it's not being occupied as my primary residence. If it's valued, we don't know how they're valuing it, but it's valued over $5 million. They want to put a tax on it. And again, we don't know what the tax will be. Just the rumor of that, the mention of that, what are clients telling you?
I mean, they're pausing, definitely. Okay, so they're looking, they're coming to see open houses. Their bids are lower on property. Okay, so it's already had an impact.
Okay.
So they're coming in and saying, look, I just heard Mamdani say XYZ.
Right.
Hako backs it.
Yeah.
And this is a recurring tax as well, right? It's not like a mansion tax, which is a one-time fee when you buy from 1 to 3.9% and a one-time transfer tax. It's a recurring tax that's supposedly going to bring in $500 million a year. We'll see what actually happens, but people are really upset about this. You can just rent. Why would you buy?
And it could be a net loss. You know, they're claiming it's going to bring in $500 million, right?
Exactly.
But if people don't buy or leave, it actually could wind up being a net loss. So I wouldn't count my chickens.
Right, and these are people who are not even really using New York City's services, right? They're not even here.
They're not here.
Right.
So,
okay, but I have a question. So just to push back, Mamdani, for his part, says, well, there's more millionaires than ever. If my policies were scaring people away, millionaires wouldn't be here. They're here. Ken Griffin keeps buying apartments. He keeps employing people in the city. What do people say to those comments? Are you seeing something different on the ground of people saying, no, you know what, actually, you've pushed me too far. I am going to Palm Beach. What do people tell you?
We definitely are hearing that we're going to Palm Beach, we're going to wherever else, in, you know, a lower tax state, a friendlier state to business. Right, we are definitely hearing that. But, you know, that takes time.
Yeah.
You know, imagine taking Citadel, like he took it out of Chicago, brought it to New York, now bringing that to Florida, let's say.
Yeah, and he just bought a $38 million apartment at 740 Park. Last year, he bought $45 million apartment there. The one in the video that you see, the famous one now with Mamdani, is $238 million. So just in mansion and transfer taxes, that's about $15 million in those 3 properties.
Interesting.
So
only him.
why are we, and all of his employees, apparently over the past 5 years, it's $2.3 billion that they paid in taxes.
So I want to talk about that, because it's not just tax the rich, but what does that mean for home prices for employees, you know, for people who still have to be in this city for work because their employers can't let them leave.
Right.
What are you hearing about that sort of mid-level market,
Well,
if you will?
they're going to buy something cheaper than $5 million, should $5 million ultimately be that number, right? Who's going to pay $5 million? It's the same thing about taxes, right?
Yeah.
If you make a certain amount, you want to make a little bit less to not pay that extra tax.
Finally, what are you hearing about the commercial side of things? So we've talked about how he was supposed to build this new, I believe it was a new building or a new headquarters or renovating it right here on Park Avenue.
We just walked by. Nothing's going on.
Nothing.
Which is not shocking given
Seemed closed.
Right, the COO letter that he sent to his employees saying, you know what, we might not build this. And this is 6,000 construction jobs, 15,000 permanent jobs that he's given. So I just don't know, again, why we're vilifying him and others like him.
We're grateful for him.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Very grateful.
So I want to step, because this has been all New York City, because I'm fascinated about this pied-à-terre tax. And again, I think the world is sort of watching this to see what happens. But I want to take a step back, because you've also talked about how LA is hot. LA, you know, they're floating the millionaires tax, the billionaires tax. They've had a mansion tax in there before. But has that impacted things or not?
It was terrible.
It did.
So the mansion tax made everyone stop buying. So they're much lower buy ratios than there were before, because people are saying, look, I can rent. You know, I can just be here 3 months a year, whatever it is that they're managing.
Well, the same thing happened here when they increased the mansion tax in July 2019. I remember Jeff Bezos famously closed on his apartment early because he wanted to pay the 1% and not the 3.9%.
Think about that, the richest man in the world.
He cares, you know, so everyone's going to care. So
if I can live anywhere right now, where would it be? Where are you seeing the hottest market for young professionals who are moving and maybe being entrepreneurs or starting their own businesses?
West Palm Beach.
Really?
There's so much money going into West Palm Beach. You know, Steve Ross, the Dolphins owner, amongst other things, right, related companies, etc. He is transforming Palm Beach. He alone by himself is transforming.
And he's
Palm
moving
Beach.
everything there. Vanderbilt, he's building a hospital, he's building golf courses, he's doing everything. So within 5-10 years, we think
you won't even recognize
all
it at
his tenants at Hudson Yards are moving down there. Goldman Sachs,
Really?
every company, yes.
Should I rent instead of buy right now? With mortgage rates where they are, should I hold off to buy until rates come down?
It would really depend where. You know, real estate is very location specific.
Right.
So I would say that if you're in New York, you probably should buy, because I still think it's going up. Okay, but if you're in...
Really?
Yeah, but if you're in Florida and it's not the prime Palm Beach location, then maybe you should rent and just watch what the landscape shows.
Right.
Very interesting. My in-laws are in Florida, and they've started to not talk about how they're being priced out, but I think the local people in those markets are starting to get all of that new money, and they're like, wait a minute, but our property taxes are going up. So I think I wonder long term what we'll see in terms of just dynamics of everyone.
It's very interesting to watch all of it.
Well, I love having you guys here.
Oh, no, thank you so much.
Thank you for your time and for jumping in.
Thank you.